The story begins with Yuki Mita, a high school student growing increasingly worried as he overhears a boy urging a girl to accompany him to a club. Yuki feels a sense of concern. It doesn't matter to him that the girl is a model. What matters is the trouble she causes him daily. Her name is Gaju Alice. The boy says he'll return later, and Yuki calls him a fool and warns him never to show up again. Yuki, slightly irked, sits back in his seat, only to feel Alice's touch on his back, which flusters him. She proposes they play the "what did I write" game. Stunned, he can only stare as she instructs him to face forward. Without hesitation, she begins to write on his back, causing him to shiver. Her message is brief. She writes that she likes him. Once finished, she blushes and asks him to guess what she wrote. Embarrassed, he awkwardly admits that he doesn't know. Undeterred, Alice rises from her seat, walks around and sits directly in front of him. She insists it's his turn now. Sliding her hair aside, she looks back at him, revealing her neck, and tells him that she'll know if he lies. He is stunned. His heart begins to race as he notices how delicate her neck is, much thinner than he ever imagined. He also becomes aware of the pleasant scent of her shampoo. She calls him again, urging him to hurry up as if sensing his hesitation. Gathering his courage, he slowly reaches for her back, his heart beating even faster. As his hand makes contact with her, she lets out a small sound. It surprises him, and he wonders if it is her voice. Without warning, Alice abruptly stands up and returns to her seat. Her face flushed. She told him he was too slow and his time was up. Yuki, still reeling from the encounter, stares at his hand that he had just touched a girl. His mind races, trying to decipher what she wrote on his back while realizing how difficult it is for him to deal with her. While thinking about something, she gets up, walks to his table, sits in his seat, and calls him an idiot. Suddenly, the door opens and he appears, saying he forgot his bag. He notices her sitting on his seat and he reminds her, and she stands up and explains that it's not what he thinks it is. He is confused and doesn't understand her. Yuki is quietly reading his book, minding his own business, when Alice calls him, asking what he's reading. The other girls in the vicinity notice them as well. She pokes him, startling him, and he abruptly stands up, claiming that the teacher called him and that he needs to leave. He sighed inwardly, knowing that if he told them what he was reading, they would likely make fun of him. As he walks away, he overhears the girls talking about him. One of them remarks that he's just an introverted dork and wonders what he could possibly be thinking. Another girl questions why Alice even bothers talking to him. Annoyed, he knows it will be awkward to re-enter the classroom now. Alice, however, is taken aback by their comments. She retorts that they don't even know him and have no right to judge him, adding that they shouldn't concern themselves with whom she chooses to talk to. Her words unexpectedly convince Yuki, and he finally admits to her that he is reading an isekai manga, even sharing the title with her. She says the title is too long and she doesn't quite understand it. She impatiently tells him to hurry up and show her the book. He hands it over and her face lights up with happiness. He is once again reminded how difficult it is for him to handle her. Yuki is nervous considering how he has lent her the comic adaptation of his isekai reincarnation light novel. He can't help but imagine someone as famous and captivating as Alice being interested in such a lesser-known work of fiction. As these thoughts wander through his mind, he hears her voice suddenly behind him. Startling with fear, he stiffens, bracing himself for the insult he believes he'll get. However, to his surprise, she does the opposite. She praises the manga and, to his amazement, declares how much she loves the part where the main character protects the girl. He asks if she really likes it, but without waiting for an answer, he launches into retelling the entire story, merely pausing for breath. She nods in agreement with everything he says. Overcome with joy, he exclaims how thrilled he is that she loves reading manga too, and happily tells her she is most welcome because she appreciates the one he gave her. At school and painting class, Yuki's classmates are assigned the task of drawing each other's portraits by pairing up. However, he feels troubled, thinking he will have to do it alone. Meanwhile, a boy asks Alice if she would like to pair up with him. She doesn't reply and walks past him. She sets up a chair in front of Yuki and sits down, leaving him in shock. When she asks if he is working alone, he nervously tells her while shivering that he hasn't yet decided whom to pair up with. Before he can finish, she interrupts him, asking him to pair up. With her, he is puzzled as to why she would want him as her partner, and she turns the question on him, asking why he isn't looking at her at all, pointing out that if this continues, they'll never complete the project. He sits there, lost in thought, when suddenly she calls his name and suggests they play a game, a staring contest for 10 seconds. He is perplexed, but before he can respond, she initiates the game, fixing her gaze on his face. As soon as their eyes meet, he blushes and she leans in closer to him. Overcome with embarrassment, he looks away before the countdown is even over. She declares that he has lost, mentioning his flushed face, and then she hides behind the canvas. He wipes the sweat from his face, thinking that this situation isn't good. Alice feels a wave of embarrassment as well. She removes the canvas and asks Yuki if they should play the 30-second version of the game next, adding that before they continue, they should decide on his punishment. Yuki is confused and cannot understand whether she is strict or kind. Alice sits silently, contemplating what sort of punishment she should give Yuki, while on the other side Yuki, lost in confusion, imagines various embarrassing possibilities she might impose on him. Eventually, she decides, and Yuki flinches at her words. She asks him to let her take a picture of him. She pulls out her phone and opens the camera app. She tilts the screen towards him, revealing a goofy animal filter. He reluctantly agrees, feeling as though he is seeking an escape from the situation. Her intention to use it for his picture leaves Yuki in shock. Despite his protests, Yuki has no choice but to smile for the camera. Alice insists he makes a more cat-like pose, and although stunned, Yuki awkwardly complies. He raises his hand from the table, forming a paw-like gesture with a grin, and she captures the moment. Feeling both weary and awkward, Yuki hears her declare 5 points. Shocked, he turns toward her. Perplexed that something so trivial could be of any interest, Alice, unbothered, remarks on how cute he looks. At that moment, their teacher intervenes, standing between them to redirect their attention back to class. With the bell ringing, Yuki quickly rises from his seat, eager to leave, but Alice grabs the back of his coat, stopping him in his tracks. As he turns toward her, she shyly asks if she can send him the picture she took, requesting his line ID. Embarrassed, Yuki responds that he doesn't need the picture, but Alice immediately stands up and leans closer to him, questioning whether he even has line on his phone. When he admits he does, she insists on exchanging contact information. Despite his resistance, claiming there's no reason for them to stay in touch, she moves in closer, forcing him against the door and leaving him with no way out. In the end, Yuki has no choice but to relent, giving her his line ID. After receiving his information, Alice sends the picture to Yuki and asks him to save her contact number. As Yuki walks away, he contemplates how his friends list has grown, though he knows he lacks the courage to ever send her a message. Meanwhile, Alice walks through the hallway, looking at her phone with a sense of satisfaction. When a boy approaches, curious about what she's doing and attempting to peek at her screen, she curtly tells him to leave her alone and continues on her way. The boy remains puzzled while Alice feels pleased with herself, having added Yuki to her list of important contacts. At home, Yuki lies on his bed, enjoying an anime season. As he yawns, he thinks it's time to sleep when suddenly his phone rings and a notification from Alice appears, asking if he is awake. Confused, Yuki wonders what she wants from him this time. His hands tremble as he replies that he is awake. Alice then asks what he's doing, and he replies that he was watching a show. Silence fills the chat until she asks him where his profile picture comes from. Yuki freaks out, realizing that he should have changed it as it's a character from a game. Nervously, he tells her it's a game character, then starts worrying, thinking she might judge him for it. After several minutes pass without a reply, he fidgets and grows anxious. For the next 30 minutes, he lies in bed, shivering, convinced that it's over for him. Suddenly, the phone rings again, and to his shock, it's a call from Alice. He jumps out of bed, still trembling, and answers the call. As he picks up, she says his name, causing him to blush. Talking to a girl, especially Alice, leaves him flustered. She laughs, teasing him for breathing rapidly, which only makes him more embarrassed. He apologizes and she explains that her family called for her earlier, so she had to stop replying to his messages. Yuki felt relieved hearing that she wasn't ignoring him. She mentions his profile picture and he's confused, wondering if she found it disgusting and didn't say anything. To his surprise, Alice tells him she already knows the character as her little brother plays that game and she finds it pretty cute. She even asks Yuki to tell her more about it next time. As they talk, Alice's phone suddenly rings and she asks him to wait for a moment. Yuki is shocked when the call switches to a video call. To his horror, it shows her cleavage. Panicking, he shouts her name, telling her that he can see her. Alice, realizing what's happening, freaks out and quickly feels embarrassed. In his embarrassment, Yuki immediately ends the call, awkwardly saying goodnight, after where he lies in bed, thinking about the incident. And thanks to Alice, he knows he won't be getting any sleep tonight. In school, Alice is glancing at the game character on her phone when she notices Yuki entering in the classroom. She starts to call out to him but stops when she sees him with a girl wearing glasses. The two are talking, and the girl tells that he is very kind. Alice is left dumbfounded, her mind fixated on their conversation while other boys approach her trying to strike up a chat. She ignores them, her eyes following Yuki. Alice pokes him and he turns, asking if something is wrong. She quickly replies that it's nothing, leaving him confused. When school ends, he is packing his bag when Alice approaches him, asking if he's busy at the moment. He tells her that he has something to take care of and leaves. She watches him go, her heart sinking as she sits alone in the classroom. Glancing at her phone again, she wonders if she could suggest that they play the game together. Tears quietly well up in her eyes. She calls his name and turns her head, only to see him standing at the doorway. Stunned, he says her name softly, eyes wide. Embarrassed, she quickly turns her head away. She asks why he hasn't gone home yet. He explains that the student committee informed him there was no one else available to clean, leaving the task solely to him. She realizes with a pang of embarrassment that the girl he had been speaking with earlier must have been a student committee member. As she sits back down, flustered, he asks why she's still at school. Hesitant, she finally explains that she wanted him to teach her how to play the game she had been looking at earlier. He is taken aback by her sudden request, momentarily stunned by her unexpected vulnerability. Yuki finally leaves school in sighs, exhausted from the day's activities that had taken longer than expected. As he walks toward the school gate, he is shocked to find Alice waiting for him. She explains that she still wants to learn more about the game and asks if now is a good time. He replies that it is, and she smiles in relief, suggesting they walk home together. As they walk, their conversation about the game quickly fizzles out, leaving an awkward silence between them. It's his first time walking home with a girl, and he feels unsure of what to say. Breaking the silence, Alice asks if he watches movies. He admits that he does sometimes. She then mentions a movie adaptation of the game he had been playing, and he agrees, saying she's right. She asks if he has watched it, to which he responds that he plans to, but hasn't yet. She then confides that she wants to watch the movie, but only with someone who understands the game. Since there aren't many people around who do, she wonders aloud what she should do. He understands what she's hinting at, but the situation becomes awkward again. After a brief pause, she asks if he has time on Sunday. Taken aback, he replies that he doesn't have any plans. She then reveals that she's also free on Sunday. Stunned by the turn of events, he nervously suggests that she rest up over the weekend before walking off in another direction, leaving her behind. She says goodbye, but a sense of sadness creeps into her voice. As he walks away, she turns around and watches him go. Nervous, he continues walking, but she suddenly stops him by grabbing his arm. Both of them blush at the contact. She firmly tells him that they should watch the movie together this Sunday. His face turns red, and he hesitantly asks if she wants someone like him to go. She looks him in the eyes and responds that she does. She wants to watch it with him. After a moment of hesitation, he agrees, and her face lights up with happiness. She excitedly tells him that she'll text him the details later and she'll see him on Sunday. As she walks away, he is left feeling like he's in a dream, never having imagined that a day would come when he would go out with a girl. Yuki was feeling the pressure. He had an outing with Alice on Sunday, but no good outfit to wear. Desperate to find something quickly, he realized he didn't even have decent clothes to go shopping in. Frustration built up as he was out of options. Feeling anxious, he glances around and rechecks her message, which reads they should meet at the station square at 2:00 p.m. Realizing he's early, he scans his surroundings and notices a familiar figure in the crowd. He wonders if it's really her, and at that moment she spots him too. She feels a surge of happiness when she spots him and calls out his name. He realizes then that it really is her. She comments on how early he arrived, and he responds by saying he didn't want to risk getting lost. As he speaks, he notices something different about her. Her aura feels distinct from usual. He finds himself staring at her, and when she catches his gaze, he quickly turns his head away. She asks if he would like to go to the movie theater, and with nervousness in his voice, he agrees, saying they should. He wonders if she noticed him staring. Today he tells himself that he must not mess things up. When they arrive at the theater, there's a long line, and she informs him they'll have to wait a little. Then she asks if he can wait for a moment. He nods in understanding, and she steps away, leaving him sitting alone. A sudden chill startled him as a cold drink touched his face. He turns around to find her standing there, and she thanks him for spending time with her. He looks at the drink in her hand, momentarily wondering if it shouldn't have been his role to get this for her. They take their seats, and as the movie begins, she casually mentions that it's her first time watching a film based on a video game. He gives a dry reply, but inside his heart begins to race faster. He feels a wave of nervousness, especially with her sitting so close that she might even hear the sound of his breathing. He anxiously wonders if he smells like sweat or if he's somehow presentable. As they watch the movie, a sudden jump scare startles her, and in her fright, she instinctively clings to him. His face flushes with warmth, and as she realizes what she has done, their eyes meet. Embarrassed, she quickly lets go and apologizes. His heart races even faster, surprised by how frightened she had been. On their way back, she comments that the movie was fun and he agrees, saying she's right. He realizes he can't concentrate on the movie at all, and by the end, he remembers nothing of the plot. His nerves have gotten the better of him, making it impossible to discuss the film. He's convinced that Alice will find it boring. When he turns to glance at her, he notices her smiling, but the moment she realizes he's looking, she's startled and quickly hides her face. In a soft whisper, she admits she was caught off guard. Hastily explaining that it's not what it seems, then she asks if he'd like to hang out with her again. Blushing, he agrees to her request, and she lights up with happiness. As he turns back around, she teasingly tells him with a smile, "You finally turned around." Her words confuse him, and he asks what she means, but she brushes it off, saying it's nothing. She then suggests getting ramen, and he agrees without hesitation. What he doesn't realize is that his usual ordinary life is about to change forever. She wonders which swimsuit he would like best. Meanwhile, he is fast asleep in his room when a message from her lights up his phone. Feeling woozy, he picks it up and wonders what she could have sent him. To his surprise, she's asking for his opinion on which swimsuit would look better on her, accompanied by a few photos. He's baffled by her question, uncertain why she's asking him of all people. He has no sense of fashion after all. His mind drifts, imagining her in a swimsuit, and his face immediately flushes with embarrassment. Realizing he's overthinking it, he hastily replies that both options look good, so it doesn't really matter. As her phone rings with his message, a hint of quiet disappointment crosses her face as she reads it. His heart starts racing as the silence stretches on, waiting anxiously for her reply. Finally, her message arrives. She explains that the store had so many options, but after quite an adventurous ordeal, she managed to buy one. She then teases him, asking if he can guess what kind of swimsuit she chose. Confused, his mind begins to wander again, imagining she might have bought something extremely revealing, like a micro bikini. Meanwhile, she watches her phone, awaiting his response and starting to wonder if she might have pushed things a bit too far. As he mulls over what kind of swimsuit she could have chosen, another message arrives, startling him. She asks if he has guessed yet. Nervously, he replies that he has no idea. She responds with a playful hint, suggesting that he might find out if he goes to the beach with her. Then pointedly asks what he's going to do. His face flushes bright red at the thought. He is stunned by her message. Although he secretly wants to see her in a swimsuit, the thought of handling both Alice and the beach feels overwhelming. He hasn't been to the beach since elementary school, and the idea of it feels unfamiliar. However, as he reflects on his vacation time, he realizes that he's free and begins to wonder if it might be fine to go after all. After thinking it through, he replies, saying he would prefer going to a pool instead since dealing with sand at the beach is such a nuisance. When she reads his message, she becomes excited. She replies enthusiastically that the pool it is, and she'll look up some good ones before contacting him again. He can hardly believe it that he's actually going to the pool with her. Feeling self-conscious, he takes off his shirt and looks at his frail body in the mirror. He thinks about how he could improve it, deciding to train a little bit. He convinces himself that if he does 100 sit-ups every day, he might just be able to make a difference in time. However, after only 20 sit-ups, he collapses in exhaustion, unable to continue. His abs ache and he's reached his limit, muttering to himself that he'll do the rest tomorrow. Meanwhile, on her end, she's searching for the best pools on her phone. After drying her hair, she takes a moment to look at her own body and decides to do a plank for extra toning. Her brother walks in, teasing her by asking what she's trying to accomplish. She snaps at him, telling him to shut up. Finally, the day arrives and he reaches the pool area. As he glances around, he spots a muscular man and instantly feels nervous, trying to calm himself. Suddenly, someone taps him on the shoulder, startling him. He turns around and sees that it's Alika. The moment she arrives, other men nearby begin to stare at her, whispering among themselves, commenting that she is super cute. She apologizes for making him wait. Embarrassed, he glances at her, only to overhear a man nearby comment, asking if he's her boyfriend and remarking how strange it seems. His nerves spike and he turns away, nervously thinking he's too shy to look directly at her. His gaze drifts and he ends up staring at her chest. She catches him, zips up her swimsuit with a smirk and teases him, saying he's staring too much and asks if he likes such things. He's too flustered to respond, his words failing him. With a playful laugh, she unzips her suit again and suggests they hurry up and enter the pool. When they arrive at the poolside, she asks if they should get in. And as she confidently takes off her zipper, he finds himself staring at her thighs. He finds himself staring at her, feeling overwhelmed. He impulsively jumps into the pool, swinging away in an attempt to calm himself down. She calls out to him, telling him to wait. And as she hurries after him, her chest jiggles slightly. Flustered, he tells her to slow down, but just as she reaches him, she slips, grabbing onto him for support. For a brief moment, they both freeze, staring into each other's eyes, and he feels like he's on the verge of losing control. Embarrassed, they quickly turn away from each other, moving apart. She apologizes and he reassures her that it's all right, but then adds, almost nervously, that being in the pool with her feels dangerous. As she stands there feeling embarrassed, her eyes suddenly catch sight of the pool's slide. With a mischievous grin, she points at it and asks Yuki if he wants to try that slide together. Then with a playful tone, she adds that he should consider it as his punishment for swimming away without her. His face flushes bright red with embarrassment. The attendant informs them that they need to join the line if they want to use the water slide, and mentions a separate slide for couples where pictures are taken as they ride. Yuki feels relieved they're not in that line, as it's hard for him to face the harsh reality of his insecurities. Suddenly, Alice tells him she wants a photo. Dumbfounded, he stammered, trying to make excuses, but she playfully reminds him that this is his punishment. Yuki glances at the other couples and feels a surge of panic. He knows this situation is bad for him, but there's no backing out now. He's stuck, bound by the punishment she gave him. Looking at Alice, he's surprised to see how calm she is while his nerves are eating him alive. Nearby, a woman asks her partner if he loves her, and he confidently replies that he loves her very much. Hearing this makes Yuki even more anxious, and he knows he needs to find a way to escape this awkward situation. He starts rambling, telling her that it's been a long time since he went to the pool or rode a water slide. The last time was back in elementary school, and only because his parents had dragged him there. As he nervously talks, another woman notices him, her attention piqued. Later, as they're eating shaved ice, Alice sticks her tongue out, asking him to guess what flavor of shaved ice she has eaten. Flustered, Yuki nervously replies that it was strawberry. She stares at him intently, making him feel even more self-conscious. The woman in front tells her boyfriend to look behind them, commenting that the couple standing there is cute. Yuki wonders if they are referring to him and Alice. He hesitates, thinking they really do look like a couple. But then, the woman drops a bomb, asking if they're siblings. Her boyfriend responds, saying the girl is very beautiful, and they definitely don't look like siblings. Yuki forces an awkward smile, trying to calm his nerves. He feels an urge to do something unnecessary, but he tells himself to stay in control and know his place. Just as he's gathering his thoughts, he is suddenly shocked. Alice grabs his hand. His heart races, and when he turns to look at her, he sees that her face has turned red and she's blushing too. She holds his hand tightly and he blushes and squeezes her hand. The other couple also novices. He thinks of what couples do and suddenly he hugs her, confusing her. As their bodies come in contact, he feels that she is super soft and also smells nice. Struggling to keep it up any longer, his head starts spinning and she also finds it hard to maintain this embarrassing stance. After some time, it is their turn. The instructor instructs him to support her from behind. She glances at him and he finds himself unable to control his growing embarrassment. She softly asks him to be gentle with her, calling him Yuki. He is momentarily stunned as she has used his first name. The instructor, noticing their hesitation, urges him to proceed quickly. Gathering his composure, he prepares himself and sits behind her. Both of them blush, nerves tingling as they find themselves so close to each other. He holds her firmly, his hands beginning to tremble as he touches her. His grip tightens slightly and he becomes acutely aware of her slender waist. She in turn grows embarrassed and tries to say something, eventually murmuring that it's a bit painful. Flustered, he quickly lets go and apologizes, but she reassures him that there's no need for an apology. Without warning, the instructor gives them a push and they begin to descend. The sudden force causes her to fall back against him and he instinctively looks at her. She tells him to hold her tightly and he readily agrees. He wraps his arms around her more securely. She glances up at him. He softly tells her that he would absolutely never let her go. Hearing his words, she smiles warmly as they slide down together. They finally reach the bottom, and the attendant thanks them for taking the ride, mentioning that they can take their picture near the exit. Noticing that Yuki hasn't moved yet, she gently tells him that it's all right now and he can let her go. Flustered, he quickly releases her, his face flushing with embarrassment as he mutters, "He did it again." She touches her stomach, commenting that he's quite strong, though he doesn't catch her words clearly. When he asks what she said, she quickly replies, "It's nothing." She steps out of the pool and extends her hand to him, playfully asking if he wants to hold her again. Too stunned to respond, he stumbles and nearly falls. As they make their way to the photo area, she eagerly reveals her excitement about seeing their pictures, while he, on the other hand, feels reluctant and dreads looking at them. When they finally find the photo, she gazes at it in silence. He looks at the image and immediately notices himself making a strange, awkward expression in the picture. He becomes gloomy after seeing the picture. His eyes appear completely white and he is gripping Godu far too tightly, almost like a creep. Disheartened, he mutters that he doesn't look good at all. Sensing his discomfort, she suggests that they take another picture. He glances at her and refuses, saying that it's fine since he wouldn't know what to do with that picture anyway. But she counters softly, saying that she wants to take a picture with him. Moved by her words, he agrees to her request and she lights up with happiness. She leans in closer to take the selfie, causing his cheeks to flush. He blushes, deeply noticing that her face is too close to his. She points out that he needs to get closer as his face is drifting out of the screen. Urging him to hurry, she insists he move nearer to her. Embarrassed and nervous, he blushes even more, inching closer. Sensing his anxiety, she tells him to get even closer, but this only causes him to start trembling. Genuinely frightened, he closes his eyes, overwhelmed by the proximity. Noticing his reaction, she softly tells him to open his eyes, then leans in and whispers in his ear, startling him. Gently but firmly, she grabs his face, telling him with a smile that she can't take a proper picture of him if his eyes are closed. He apologizes to her, and she calmly reassures him, saying that she'll take the picture, and he just needs to act normal. However, as they pose for the photo, his hand accidentally touches her chest, and he is instantly shocked. She notices his reaction and points out with a hint of amusement that his eyes have gone white again, asking if they should take another picture, but he nervously refuses. Later, as they sit together on the bus ride back, she asks if he enjoyed the pool. He replies that he did, though. He admits it's giving him goosebumps. He assumes that under normal circumstances, he'd probably be at home right now, relaxing, playing games, and reading manga. Suddenly, he catches her reflection in the window and silently wonders why she invited him in the first place. He wonders why she invited him to the pool, his thoughts drifting to the possibility that Alice might be interested in him. His face flushes red at the idea. She notices him staring and asks what's wrong. Hesitantly, he replies that it's nothing, rushing off his thoughts. Yet the possibility lingers in his mind. Could she really be interested in him? Even so, if it's actually true, he can only imagine what that might entail. He sighs and dismisses it, convincing himself it's just his imagination, and reminds himself that he's likely overthinking it, believing he's not someone who could be worthy of such attention. Meanwhile, she calls him over to show something on her phone, only to find he's already drifted off to sleep. She notices him sleeping and gently pokes him to get his attention. Upon seeing him smiling with an adorable expression, she accidentally snaps circle pictures quickly. Realizing he hasn't woken up, she sighs in relief and hides her face in embarrassment. Curiosity gets the better of her as she glances at the pictures she just took. After a quick look around to make sure no one is watching, she hesitates before cautiously resting her head on his shoulder, thinking it would be fine if it's just for a little while. A soft blush spreads across her cheeks as she settles beside him. Suddenly, he stirs in his sleep and without realizing it, rests his head on hers. Now she finds herself stuck in place, unable to move, her heart pounding as she stays there, blushing even more. She looks at him, noticing how close his face is to hers, their lips almost touching. Her heart races as she blushes deeply and closes her eyes, leaning in slightly as if to kiss him. Just then the bus jolts and he wakes up, causing her to quickly pretend she's asleep. Blinking groggily, he realizes he must have fallen asleep without noticing. His gaze falls on her, resting peacefully on his shoulder, and a wave of nervousness washes over him. For a moment he thinks about waking her up but hesitates, captivated by how beautiful she looks while sleeping. He quietly admires her long eyelashes and delicate features, blushing as he does so. Unbeknownst to him, she too is blushing, still pretending to sleep, unsure of what to do as they sit there in quiet proximity, both caught in their own whirlwind of emotions. She looks at her phone and comes across a post suggesting that changing hairstyles occasionally can help impress the guy one likes. The idea makes her blush as she considers trying a twin-tail hairstyle. Hesitantly, she asks if he doesn't like twin tails, startling him with a sudden question. Later at the pool, she tells him she got a bit of a tan and warns him that they need to be careful in the sun. Playfully, she asks if he got tan too and insists he let her see. He quickly replies that he's fine and that she doesn't need to worry. While there at the pool, he inadvertently finds himself staring at another girl's chest. She notices, growing jealous, and pinches him sharply. Surprised, he asks what's wrong with her, but she brushes it off, saying it's nothing. A little later, she hands him some chocolate, explaining that she made too much and that it might not taste good. Out of nowhere, she asks what he would do if she told him she loved him. He blushes deeply, taken aback since this is the first time he's ever received chocolate from someone other than his mother. Flustered, he asks if she said something because he couldn't hear her clearly. She's momentarily dumbfounded but quickly dismisses it, saying it's nothing and that he should just let her know how the chocolate tastes. He agrees, taking a bite. Her chocolate is slightly bitter but sweet, a unique and delicious combination that lingers on his tongue. Yuki has a strong aversion to both extremes of temperature, and on this particularly chilly day, his discomfort remains unchanged. She finds him and greets him with a smile, commenting on how it suddenly got colder. He wonders why she's wearing such light clothes in the middle of winter, and expresses his concern, saying that he feels like he might catch a cold just looking at her. Without a word, she asks him to show her his hand, then gently grabs it and slips it into her pocket. He's stunned, his face turning red as warmth floods through him. Inside her pocket, there's a warm pad and he can feel its comforting heat. She asks how it feels, revealing with a playful smile that it's her secret weapon for staying warm. Both of them blush, and after a moment they awkwardly stop holding hands. She quickly apologizes, adding just that isn't enough to warm him up. He, flustered and embarrassed, tries to explain, but realizes he's already complete. Telly warmed up from the simple gesture. At night, Yuki is in pain, a type of pain he hasn't experienced in a long time. He glances at his phone, seeing their picture. He remembers the day at the pool. She had mentioned that they should go again sometime, and honestly, it all felt like a dream to him. Meanwhile, at her house, she is in the bath, her thoughts drifting back to that day. She wonders if Yuki had been awake during that moment, then blushes, her heart racing at the thought. Embarrassed, she hides her face in the water. Just then, her brother calls out, asking if she's done with her bath yet. She quickly replies that she isn't finished. Her brother, feeling bored, decides to head to her room to see if she has any comic books he could borrow. As he enters her room, his eyes land on the picture of her and Yuki. He picks it up, wondering what this means and why she has it. On his way to school, Yuki admits to himself that he stayed up late the previous night, playing games. He reflects on the game, thinking about how flustered he got when a character said something unexpected. As he walks, he notices Alice and decides that it wouldn't hurt to greet her. Summoning his courage, he approaches her and offers a greeting. To his relief, she smiles and greets him back. He sighs inwardly, glad that it went well, but an awkward silence settles between them. He wonders if he should bring up what happened the previous day. Before he can say anything, Alice takes the initiative and says she has something to tell him. Curious, he asks what it is, but she hesitates and, unable to say it at that moment, tells him she'll explain later before quickly walking away. Yuki is left standing there, confused and unsure of what just happened. During class, his thoughts remain stuck on the previous conversation. He wonders what Alice wanted to say to him earlier, anxiously speculating if she had something rude or mean to tell him. The thought made him uneasy, especially since he had casually greeted her that morning. As he dwells on it, his pen slips from his hand and he grows more nervous, thinking he might have gotten a little too carried away. During class, his thoughts remain stuck on their previous conversation. Suddenly, she pokes him gently in the back, catching him off guard. She tells him what she wanted to say earlier that morning. She reveals that there's a game at her house she thinks he would enjoy. Stunned, Yuki is left speechless as she asks if he'd like to come over to her place to play the game, adding that it's only if he wants to. She blushes after extending the invitation while he remains confused and unsure of how to respond, his mind racing in uncertainty. Yuki is supposed to visit a girl's house for the first time, but when he arrives at their meeting spot, he immediately runs into a problem. He spots Alice with another guy and, without thinking, quickly steps back, hiding behind some nearby leaves. As he crouches, he questions why he's even hiding in the first place. He wonders if the guy with Alice is just a friend. Suddenly, Alice snaps at the guy, telling him to stop and leave her alone. The man, unfazed, asks what the big deal is. Yuki, now even more stunned, starts to suspect this might be a pickup attempt. His mind races as he thinks about what to do. The guy looks strong and Yuki feels a pang of nervousness. He knows he needs to help her but has no idea how to intervene. Yuki notices that Alice looks really uncomfortable, and with a deep breath he decides to approach them. The guy immediately notices him and with a sharp glare asks who he is staring him down. Yuki feels a surge of fear but he doesn't back away. Sensing the situation, the guy seems to catch on and grabs Alice's arm, saying that they are in the middle of something. Alice tries to pull away, attempting to stop him, but the tension between them only escalates. Yuki's heart races, unsure how to respond or what to do next, when Alice suddenly steps in, telling her brother that enough is enough and he should stop. He looks annoyed and releases her. She questions him if he already knows about Yuki and whether he's acting this way on purpose. She snaps back, saying that what he's doing is the worst. Yuki, utterly confused, has no idea what's going on. Sensing the tension, Alice quickly apologizes to him and reveals that the guy is actually her younger brother. Her brother glares at Yuki and he immediately freaks out, feeling intimidated. Her brother, without hesitation, announces that he's decided to spend the day with them. At home, Yuki feels cold because of the chilly weather, so he hides under his blanket to stay warm while playing games. Suddenly, his phone rings, startling him. He checks and sees it's a video call from Alice. Nervously, he picks it up, only to be surprised to see her dressed in a Santa outfit. Confused, he asks her about the outfit. She explains with a smile that it's for a magazine photo shoot. As they talk, a girl nearby notices Alice on the call and teases her, asking if he is her boyfriend. Alice brushes it off, turning back to him to wish him a Merry Christmas. Before he can respond, the director calls for her and she hastily apologizes, leaving the frame to attend to her work. However, in her rush, she forgets to cut the call. Yuki, still watching, is stunned when he sees her start changing clothes. Embarrassed and in shock, he quickly hangs up, his face burning with embarrassment. He thanks her silently for the unexpected gift and tries to collect himself, still reeling from what just happened. He finds himself in a girl's room for the first time, and now he's in an awkward situation with her, something he never expected. About an hour ago, he had been invited to her house, and her younger brother had unexpectedly joined them. She sighs and asks her brother why he's tagging along. He replies that it's fine, claiming that his sister is always flirting with him anyway. She is left speechless. He clarifies to Yuki that he simply wants to spend time with his sister, insisting there's nothing wrong with that. He then glares at Yuki, causing him to smile awkwardly. He wonders if things will go smoothly. She whispers that everything will be fine. Hesitantly, he opens his bag and explains that since she had mentioned playing games, he brought his own console. Her face lights up as she eagerly thanks him, asking him to show her. Just then, her brother notices something and grabs his hand, causing the console to slip and fall. Yuki is shocked by the sudden development. Her brother asks Yuki to come with him for a second, but then, easing his tone, he politely requests to please come with him for a moment. Alice steps in, trying to stop her brother, but he insists he has something important to discuss with Yuki. Despite her efforts, her brother drags him away, and Alice warns him not to do anything strange to their guest. At that moment, Yuki knows it's all over for him and silently begins to pray. He leads him into another room, pushing him inside before glaring at him with a menacing expression. He asks if by any chance he is Master Pan stunned. He stammers in confusion, but before he can respond, the boy shows him something on the screen, a character he recognizes. It all clicks into place. He recalls a day when he played with a random person online, and over time they became friends, talking frequently. Yuki then asks if he is Kuga. The guy grabs his hand in excitement and exclaims that he knew it. He recognized him from his ID. Yuki is completely taken aback. He then apologizes, saying he didn't realize his sister's boyfriend was his online master. Blushing, he quickly clarifies that it's all right and decides he isn't her boyfriend. He is stunned to hear that they aren't dating yet. As he tries to explain that it's not what it seems, her brother grabs him, flashing a knowing smile, and assures him to leave it all to him. Just then, she enters the room and demands to know what they are talking about. Her brother immediately lets him go, and she reminds him that she has already warned him not to do anything strange. Her brother, with a mischievous grin, responds that he suddenly remembered something he needed to take care of and won't be back for a while. With a wink at Yuki, he exits the room, leaving Yuki speechless. The door shuts behind him, leaving the two of them alone. At her workplace, a coworker mentions that Halloween is approaching and asks Alice if she plans to do a cosplay date with her boyfriend. Alice replies that she's not very good at cosplaying, feeling a bit caught off guard. Surprised, her coworker revealed that last year when she dressed up in cosplay, her boyfriend was thrilled. Alice responds dryly, feeling unsure how to continue the conversation. In fact, she had bought a cosplay costume but now finds herself wondering what to do next. It had been quite popular, which is why she purchased it, but now she feels uncertain about her decision. Right now, he is alone with a girl in her house. His heart felt like it could explode at any moment. Especially since her brother, who had been with them earlier, suddenly had something to attend to and wouldn't be returning for a while. He blushes as he recalls his conversation with her brother, and ever since that exchange, he's become more conscious of the situation. Breaking the silence, she apologizes for overhearing their conversation. He is taken aback, shocked by her words. She adds somewhat awkwardly that even if her brother says something like that, she laughs softly, remarking that he must be annoyed. As she looks at him, he glances back, blushing, and replies that it's not as if he's actually annoyed. He admits he was kind of happy. She is surprised by his response and smiles happily. After a brief pause, she asks if he'd like to go to her room. He is stunned by the suggestion, but she explains that they can't talk comfortably where though he hesitates at first, he eventually agrees to her request. They both stand up and walk toward her room. As they approach, she tells him that this is her room, and while grabbing the door handle, she casually mentions that her parents will be coming home late today. He is momentarily stunned by the revelation, and they exchange a glance, both blushing. Without further words, they enter the room. He now realizes what a girl's room looks like, taking in every detail as he glances around. She watches him, staring at the bed, and she blushes. Standing in front of the bed, she hesitantly calls his name, and he immediately apologizes. She sits on the bed and tells him to sit wherever he feels comfortable. Understanding her offer, he looks around still unsure until she gently reminds him that there is space next to her. Blushing, he hesitates for a moment as she patiently waits for him to join her. He looks at her and almost instinctively moves toward her. However, he accidentally trips and falls onto her. For a brief moment, they stare at each other, the closeness overwhelming. Unable to hold back any longer, she quietly tells him that it hurts a little. Startled, he quickly apologizes and shifts his hand. She reassures him that it's fine, though both of them blush deeply, the atmosphere between them charged with tension. Her brother returns home and starts looking for them, eventually stopping outside her room. As he listens, he catches Alice's voice telling Yuki not there. A smirk crosses his face, and he jokingly remarks that Yuki is quite the player while referring to him as his brother-in-law. Intrigued, Alice asks him what kind of technique he's referring to. Her brother seems confused by her question and quickly decides to check on them. He opens the door only to discover that they are simply playing games together. He sighs, glances at Yuki, and asks if he's right in thinking that things are progressing. Alice, puzzled, asks what he means. He turns to Yuki, saying he'll make sure to set things up properly next time. He asks Yuki to stay over, catching him completely off guard. Feeling the pressure of expectations, Yuki isn't sure if he can meet them, but he resolves to try his best. Currently at the school festival, Yuki is busy working at the maid cafe. As he goes about his tasks, a guy tells him to take out the trash if he's not too busy, and he agrees without hesitation. Stepping outside, he sees various classes engaging in their activities, a vibrant atmosphere buzzing all around him. He never expected much from school events in the past, but this time he finds himself wanting to enjoy it with someone. As he stands there, he overhears some boys gossiping about how it's a shame that the maid cafe is so popular, yet Alice is stuck doing backstage work. Curiously, he looks over at her, but when she catches his eye, he quickly turns his head away, feeling a sudden wave of self-consciousness. He wonders if she would be annoyed if he invited her to explore the festival together. After all, she's popular and likely has plans with someone else, leaving him feeling uncertain about whether he should even ask. He lets out a sigh, feeling a mix of nerves and uncertainty. Just then, Alice intentionally bumps into him, turning to smile as she looks up at him. His confusion deepens when she asks if he isn't just looking at her. Nervously, he questions whether he should even ask her to hang out, feeling the pressure building inside him. In an impulsive moment, he finds himself staring at the maids nearby, prompting her to ask if he likes that kind of thing. Flustered, he tries to explain himself, saying it's not that he dislikes it. In fact, he admits he would love to see her in a maid outfit. She opens her mouth to respond, but before she can say anything, someone interrupts them, calling for their help. Both of them leave to attend to the matter at hand, and after some time they find a quiet spot to take a rest, the earlier tension lingering in the air between them. She begins telling him about her day, expressing her disappointment that she hasn't had a chance to enjoy the festival at all. Yuki listens, his heart racing as he wonders if this could be his opportunity to ask her out. As she pouts slightly, he feels a surge of determination but also uncertainty. He contemplates how he should approach the situation, his mind racing with possibilities. What would he do if she rejected him? The thought sends a shiver of anxiety through him, but he reminds himself that now isn't the time to dwell on such fears. Taking a deep breath, he finishes his coffee, feeling a mix of resolve and nervousness. He steels himself, ready to man up, and finally asks her to spend some time together. Yuki musters up the courage and finally asks Alice if it wouldn't be a bother will she like to explore the festival together. She looks at him, her cheeks flushing pink. She stands up and excitedly exclaims, "Sure." She grabs high. As hand and lit up with enthusiasm, her eagerness makes his heart race. She urges him to let go quickly, tugging him along as she begins to lead the way. He follows behind her, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness, ready to enjoy the festival side by side. Alice releases his hand and tells him to wait for her. Yuki stands there, his curiosity piqued as he wonders what she is up to. A few moments later, she returns, stunning him in a maid outfit. He is taken aback, thinking how incredibly cute she looks in the attire. He asks her about the outfit and she blushes slightly. With a playful smile, she explains that since it's the festival, she thought it would be fitting to wear something special. Then, with a teasing glint in her eyes, she reveals that just for today, she will be his exclusive maid. Yuki hesitates, unsure if it's really okay with her, and asks, wanting to make sure she feels comfortable. She beams at him, her smile radiant as she replies, of course. Her enthusiasm makes his heart flutter as they prepare to enjoy the festival together. As they walk around the festival, everyone notices Alice in her maid outfit, murmuring about how cute she is. Suddenly, she calls out his name, urging him to hurry up. Yuki is astonished as he strolls through the cultural festival alongside her. To make sure this isn't just a dream, he pinches himself, feeling the sharp sting of reality which prompts her to ask, what is he doing? She glances back at him with a playful smile, telling him that she's going to leave him behind if he doesn't keep up. She's having fun, her excitement radiating more than usual. He feels a swell of happiness, glad that he dared to invite her. She asks brightly if he wants some takoyaki, and he eagerly replies that he does. When they approach the stall, the shopkeepers are stunned by her charm and announce that they will give it to her for free. Alice looks confused, not quite understanding the sudden generosity. Yuki has never received any kind of special service like this before, but Alice insists on paying for the takoyaki herself. She suggests they find a spot to eat. As they sit, she looks at him playfully and tells him to open his mouth, announcing that she wants to hand feed him. He is stunned by her sudden boldness. With a teasing smile, she explains that she's doing it because she hasn't had the chance to act maid-like yet. Addressing him as master, she encourages him again to open his mouth. He thinks it's an incredible experience, and as he accepts the food from her hand, they both blush at the intimate moment. However, as he takes a bite, he suddenly starts choking because the food is still hot. She asks if he's okay, her expression shifting to concern as she apologizes for not warning him. He wonders what will happen next, feeling a mix of embarrassment and anticipation. After he recovers, they continue exploring the festival, visiting various stalls. Yuki, feeling confident, wins a plushie for her, telling her how good he is at games like that. Alice smiles at him, thanking him for the thoughtful gift.